What's going on, y'all? It's your boy Deej. Thank you guys for joining me and watching this video today. As y'all know, I just posted two TikToks on my TikTok. I made a video about expectations for the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I also just posted a video, as you see the shirt, for Bijan Robinson, why I expect him to be RB1. So I'm gonna put my TikTok name in the comment section below, so make sure you're gonna check those out. Today we're gonna do a full video, and today, this video is simply titled Leverage. I don't want to do like kind of like, well, obviously it is kind of more of a sports overview, right? There's been a lot of news over the last several weeks. Obviously, it's been a while since I've recorded a video, but this video is simply called Leverage. And the reason why this video is called Leverage is because as we've seen two division rivals in Micah Parsons for the Dallas Cowboys and Terry McLaurin, obviously, just a day prior make trade requests because both sides, in respective for their agents and for their teams, have not come to terms on a long awaited contract extensions. As you know, Michael Parsons, he's been due for an extension since year three, and it's not even too close. Obviously, Michael Parsons has had an outstanding career. He's only one of very few, if not many, players to have four straight seasons of 12 sacks or more. He is a four-time Pro Bowler. He is a two-time All Pro. He won Defensive Rookie of the Year. He is a DPOY candidate. He missed four games last year. He played 13, missed four due to a high ankle sprain, but still put together 12 sacks and had two forced fumbles. So, in my opinion, too, if Michael Parsons doesn't miss those four games, which obviously Jerry Jones decided to bash his player because he missed some time due to an injury, which could have been even more serious. Michael Parsons possibly, even though obviously this past year's leader was Trey Hendrickson, Michael Parsons probably would have led the NFL in sacks if he played those four games, obviously, seeing that he had 12 and 13. So, Michael Parsons, again, Dallas needs to make it, obviously, you know how Dallas and Jerry Jones are. They constantly wait to pay this has been something that goes back in the day with Emmett Smith. They had just won a Super Bowl, and obviously Emmett Smith coming off the season that he did, coming off the Super Bowl, wanted a contract extension, but Jerry Jones was not paying Emmett Smith. Emmett Smith held out all the way, and he even held out into the first two games of the year following they won the Super Bowl, which was in the 1990s. Jerry Jones finally gives him a contract extension because he waited until basically, there was no, conversations, there was no really progress, and Emmett Smith held out. Emmett Smith said, "Hey, I'm not playing until I get paid," and they finally were able to come to terms. Emmett Smith played the final 14 games, and they ended up winning a Super Bowl that year. Now, again, look, we're not gonna put Dallas Cowboys and Super Bowl in the same series as we currently speak, because even though Michael Parsons is as great as he is, Dallas has to show us that they are Super Bowl ready, and that just hasn't been the case yet. But again, Michael Parsons by far is the best player on this team. Now, Michael Parsons submitted, officially requested a trade yesterday, saying that, I no longer basically want to play in Dallas. I have basically the owner and the Jones family. They're bashing my name because I'm missing because of an injury that I had. They're bashing because I missed time. I've done nothing but show up, be a professional, which he has. He has done that. He's not lying when he says the words that he's saying. However, as we know, Jerry Jones, he did this with Dak Prescott twice. As y'all know, when it was like a month or 2 weeks before the season when Dak Prescott's first 4-year extension, got paid there. Same thing for CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb didn't agree to his extension until about a week before the season started. But now you're seeing Micah Parsons say, "You know what? I'm through. I'm submitting a trade." Now, I just watched the video again, and shout out to TheoAsh again. TheoAsh brought up some major points. There's no reason really for us to overreact too much on this news because this is mainly where the leverage meaning comes into play. Where, okay, you know what? If you're not speaking to my agent and I've waited 2 years to get a contract extension, I've been willing to even take less. I just wanted to get an extension, which we both know I deserve an extension. You know, obviously, I'm just going to now say, all right, I'm gonna now, force them to really say, all right, we actually gotta get serious here. You got Jerry saying some nonsense. You got Stephen Jones, his son, saying some nonsense about, paying Michael Parsons and whatnot, and this, that, and the fourth. It's just, them Joneses over there in the Dallas Cowboys. I don't know what they got going on, and especially Jerry. And it really it starts with the league. It does need to be a new a standard set where these teams and these organizations are not waiting until training camp for these players to get grumpy, which obviously in Micah Parsons' case is rightfully so. Even for Terry McLaurin, who we're going to get to in a moment, one now the players have to know their value. Now, obviously, Michael Parsons deserves to be at this point the best, highest played, but like, for Terry McLaurin, who I would say is a top 15, but not the best or in that high caliber tier of wide receivers. There's probably one where it's the money involved. How much is he getting paid? And it's kind of the team saying, well, we're not going to, we want to pay you, but we don't want to pay you, over the value, right? So going back to Michael Parsons and Dallas, it's basically the trade request really just signifying, all right, and the same thing it was the same thing for Trey Hendrickson, but unfortunately just for the Bengals, it just has not worked yet. Um, it's really just been about just all right. It's time for y'all to step. It's time for us to get things going. I don't think truly that Michael Parsons wants to leave Dallas, but he's literally saying, "Hey, listen, if there's no progress, and now you're basically just saying you're not even talking to my agent, and we know we got to get a contract extension done. I'm just gonna ask out and not even play." Which he shouldn't. Like he deserves a contract extension. This man, I just read y'all the accolades and the numbers that this guy's put up: 52.5 sacks in 4 seasons, a defensive player of the year candidate. He's pretty much due for one. Like Michael Parsons has been incredible. Like look at this. Last year in 2024, another Pro Bowl, 43 tackles, 12 for loss, 23 quarterback hits, and 12.5 sacks. His best season probably was his rookie year, where he had 84 tackles, 24 loss, 13 sacks. The last year he had 14, 52.5 sacks total. Michael Parsons is just a human wrecking man on, the front seven on the defensive line. And clearly he is by far the best player on the Dallas Cowboys. And it's time for Dallas to like Jerry's got to lock in now. Like Jerry, enough of this, talking to the media, always, pitching up a story about your players being injured and why your players need to show up to camp and whatnot just to keep the Cowboys relevant. We know the Dallas Cowboys. We know y'all at this point now. We talk it. You've got ESPN talking about the Dallas Cowboys every single day. They can't go a day. It's like talking about the Lakers when it's basketball season. You can't go a day without talking about the Lakers for ESPN. On ESPN, the Cowboys are always they're the number one team in discussion. It's the Dallas Cowboys because Jerry Jones is always saying something in the media to give the media something to talk about. So you got to give him that part where he's giving the media something to talk about, but it's not really for the right reasons. And again, he's doing the same thing where he's delaying talks with his star players to get paid when it's time to get paid. And as you see too, it's been a major problem because you're now having to pay your players more money because you're waiting until the last minute. And as you see, TJ Watt just was made the highest paid player in football. You're not going to have to make Michael Parsons the highest paid player in football. You saw CD Lamb, the contract he got could have been a lot cheaper, could have been 30 million, but you had to pay him 35 because you waited until a week before the season started. Dak Prescott, you waited until a week before the season started. You see Trevor Lawrence, Jordan Love, Joe Burrow get extensions, and Dak Prescott's now the highest paid quarterback at $60 million per year. You feel what I'm saying? So Dallas has kind of really hurt themselves with just playing the waiting game. And, and really for Michael Parsons, is probably he in deep down he doesn't want to leave Dallas, but he's basically saying, look, if y'all ain't gonna pay me and I've waited 2 years to get an extension, I'm out. I don't want to play for y'all. And trade me somewhere where I want to be paid. One, I want to be paid, but two, I can continue to elevate my game to another level. Michael Parsons has flirted multiple times about playing in Pennsylvania with Pittsburgh, other places and whatnot, you know. So keep your guy, get Jerry, lock in and pay your guy. Now let's switch over to Terry McLaurin. Now Terry McLaurin is coming off a really good year. He had 82 catches, 1,096 yards, and 13 touchdowns. He was one of the more efficient and statistically best receivers in football last year. Now again, this is another thing. This is really really more, and I do think also too like more so that Michael Parsons like again he really wants to it's more of a leverage move to really tell the team, hey, like start the talks now. Like stop all this nonsense and talking all this stuff about me. Like Cut the BS. Let's get to talking about getting paid. Same thing with Terry McLaurin. Terry McLaurin has made it known really specifically after the season that he wanted a new contract, but the two sides between he and the Commanders have not made progress on a contract extension, or it's more so, I think, his value and his age does factor in. Terry McLaurin, I think, turns 30 this year. He turns 30 in September. He turns 30 in a month, so he is getting older. Now, I don't necessarily care about the age. It is obviously, and look, Terry McLaurin also deserves a contract. He has been through thick and thin with this Washington Commanders team. He stayed loyal when he didn't ask out. Obviously, when they were bad, he could have asked out and said, "I want to be traded, go to a winning team." Terry McLaurin stayed loyal. They finally found their quarterback in Jaden Daniels, and this is the important part. Why this is another extension that needs to get done, because you don't want to trade or get rid of or not have your top wide receiver for your year two quarterback coming off the season that he had. Obviously, Jaden Daniels won Offensive Rookie of the Year and led them to the NFC Championship game. Like, you need Terry McLaurin out there. Now, Terry McLaurin, he reported to camp, but it's more of a hold-in situation. He also is on the pup list due to an ankle injury, and that's another thing. You don't want this to also get out of hand where he's missing important practice time and he's banged up. As y'all know, a situation that comes to mind that to me reminds me a lot of this was the Brandon Ayuk situation. Now, Brandon Ayuk was, after coming off the season that he had, he wanted a contract extension, but it was a trade request. It was the two sides going back and forth on the years, the money. It was him showing up to practice but not practicing. It was a mess. It was a mess. I thought Brandon Ayuk was going to be traded. There was even a trade, I think, in place for him to go to Pittsburgh, but an offer came to the table that he didn't turn down, and he ends up signing a new 4-year deal that paid him about 26, 27 plus million a year. Or I think it paid him 30. But look what happened. Terry McLaurin, or not Terry McLaurin, but Brandon Ayuk, it was disappointing. He had a disappointing 2024 season, and it ended prematurely with injury. So, and I'm not trying to put this as a curse on Terry McLaurin, but this is why too they really need to get this done and get Terry McLaurin on the field so that he can get those reps with Jaden Daniels. Because again, you're heading into year two with him. Jaden Daniels has high expectations the year that he had, and if he doesn't have Terry McLaurin on the football team, I don't see a year two jump for Jaden Daniels. That's just me being brutally honest. Like, because again, the production and the connection that these two had last year. Like, he had 13 receiving touchdowns. That's what top three in the NFL, if not led the league last year for all wide receivers. So, Terry's got to be out there, and they need to get this done. I think too, Terry. I think hopefully it's not a situation where Terry is asking for more than what he's worth, in my opinion. So like there's the crown tier. It's the two LSU Kings, right? With Jamar Chase, Mr. Triple Crown, and Justin Jefferson. Those are the legit top two receivers in football. Then you have your like elite tier with CD Lamb, AJ Brown, Amon St. Brown. You can put a healthy, when fully healthy, and he's not dealing with all this stuff off the field and saying all this stuff on the field. Tyreek Hill, you have Puka Nakua, and you have your rising superstars and my guy Brian Thomas Jr., Malik Neighbors, Drake London, Lad McConkey, Garrett Wilson, George Pickens even could be, if he can take that next step with Dallas and, also with all the off the field stuff, or not off the field, but on the field, right? If he can take that next step, right? There's that there. So Terry, in my opinion, too, is Terry's in that tier where it's kind of like in that third tier where he's like, it's kind of, I call it the ageless production tier, where it's him, it's Mike Evans, or I wouldn't even put him in that tier because he's not that old. He's 30. You have your ageless tier and Devontae Adams and Mike Evans. And you have Terry, who's kind of in your third tier that I would put like again like with a Garrett Wilson, and a DK Metcalf, who, and I'm setting these tiers because it's basically where they're being paid. So like you have DK Metcalf getting $32.5 million. You have same thing for Garrett Wilson, or I think it's DK at 33. You have Garrett Wilson who got 32.5. In my opinion, I'm not paying him. Look, I'm telling Terry straight up. If Terry's asking for top of the market money like that, hell no, he's not getting that. Absolutely not. So if Terry want to go back and forth with us about that, he can. Yeah, I would tell Terry honestly, hey, you can go find it somewhere else, man, because I'm not paying you talking about. And again, look, it's no disrespect to Terry, because again, he's a top 15 receiver, but he's not a top five, top 10 receiver in my opinion. Like his best year in terms of receiving yards is only and I wouldn't say only, but it's a 1,191 yards. We've seen look BTJ, Malik Neighbors, Devontae Adams, Mike Evans has done it multiple times. We've seen guys put up 1,200, 1,300, 1,400 plus. Terry McLaurin is a 1,000 to 1,100 yard receiver. He hasn't eclipsed 1,200 yards. Like, can he do that this year? It's possible, but you know, and that's another thing too. Like, he's not this top tier receiver that should be paid 35 to $40 million. No. Now I would pay him in the range of Garrett Wilson and DK Metcalf, or you can pay him bare minimum, give him 30 to $31 million. I think that's a perfect place for him. And if they do put an offer on the table, which I think Washington is at now, I think if you offer him 30 to 31 million, Terry McLaurin should take that and that should end everything. I would offer him a 3-year, $90 to $93 million deal, $63 million guaranteed, and he can earn some incentives. Put him at like 98 million, which it'll bump him up to what 32 million, or you can put it at 99 million, which if he earns an All Pro this year, he can earn the full 99 million. So I would give him some incentives as well to put that there. And again, I'm expecting Micah Parsons at it's probably knowing the Dallas Cowboys and how they are. I expect probably let's go 3 days before the season. Michael Parsons and the Dallas Cowboys reach a resolve and agree to a monster 4-year extension that makes him the highest paid player in NFL history. And there you have it there. Lastly, you've got Trey Hendrickson. Like again, I'm at the point with Trey Hendrickson where I'm not saying this personally. I'm saying this like with Trey and the Bengals, just trade him. Just get a trade, find a trade partner, trade him because this is another thing. This thing has dragged out for again 2 years. It's kind of like similar in a stance to the Lamar situation where it took so long for Lamar to get a contract extension, but it was really because right and me and my boy Isaiah, shout out to him mainly too. It was because of Deshaun Watson resetting the market at the quarterback position, but him getting a fully guaranteed contract, and it took so long. And you're seeing this too with Trey Henderson. Trey Henderson signed a 4-year, $60 million deal. That's only $15 million per year at the time. Now, that was in 2021 when he joined the Bengals. He has completely outperformed that contract, specifically the last 2 years. I think it was 2022. He had 13 sacks. 2023, 2024 combined, he has 35. He has been and led the league in sacks last year. So he's been among the better edge rushers in the same tier of Micah Parsons, in the same tier of TJ Watt, in the tier of Miles Garrett, Max Crosby. He is a top 5 pass rusher in football. So the Bengals and Joe Burrow has made it known, like pay Jamar Chase, they did that. Pay T. Higgins, they did that. Pay Trey Henderson, not close. So here's the thing that Adam Schefter reported. Adam Schefter said that the money and the years are good. They're good on that part. So there is progress. The problem is the guaranteed money. So you have TJ Watt, his 3 years of his contract's guaranteed, multiple years of Max Crosby's contract is guaranteed. The Bengals, I think, offered him a 2-year deal, but they only guaranteed him 1 million, or not 1 million, but 1 year of his contract. TJ's like, no, I want more guaranteed money than that, which he should. Like, you're only guaranteeing half my contract, and then say if I have another great year, you have to add more guarantees. And we're seeing that too with some teams like Dexter Lawrence had his contract. They added 3 million. They gave him a $3 million raise and some more guarantees. Same thing for Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield, on his contract, the year that he was on in this year in his contract, I think it's the second year of that 3-year deal. Baker Mayfield didn't have any guaranteed money, so they guaranteed his salary for this year. So you don't want to have those situations where your team is guaranteeing your salary and whatnot. It was the same thing too with the Matthew Stafford situation. They gave him more money and they guaranteed more of his salary. They gave him a raise and some more guaranteed money on his contract because he had no guarantees on his contract. So you kind of wanted in that sense too, where you want to get Trey Hendrickson. They just need to it's now or never now with them to get Trey Hendrickson paid. And he's already requested a trade. He came back, had another great year. And obviously, you need look for a Bengals defense that was really bad last year, and he was a bright spot, the basically the lone bright spot on a bad defense. And I'm not saying that in a bad way. Like it's just that's like Trey Hendrickson alone. He needs help around. Trey Hendrickson needs help. He needs the defense around him to be better. But you saw that he was the lone bright spot on just a defense that was atrocious, and he was 30% of the production of the defense that was bad, right? So they need to get that done. Some other news, right? So you have Zach Allen agreed to, 4-year, $100 million, $102 million extension, $69.5 million. The Denver Broncos, in my opinion, are going to be a top three defense in football. In my opinion, they're going to be the best defense in football. That's what I truly believe. I think it's and just as not in order. I think you got Denver, Pittsburgh, uh, Minnesota, a sleeper, the Texans and the Giants. I do think, even though as bad as their schedule and as horrid as it is, as difficult as it is, man, oh man, the New York Giants are going to have a top five defense in football this year. Uh, Top five bare minimum, or yeah, top five, top 10. So I believe that as well. So also some other teams like the Jets, and there's some other teams there. But yeah, y'all. That's gonna be it for today. Thank you guys for watching this video. I hope y'all have a blessed day. More content soon, and I'm out. Peace.